News is done, business is done, sports is done, and the league is done, and Arsenal are the champions. Over to Jeff.
You're just so happy about that, aren't you?
Yeah, very happy.
You're smiling like a Cheshire cat.
Yeah, very happy.
All right, fuel prices not done. On the far end, Cornelius Chepsoy, he's the chair of the Rig Owners Association. Right next to him is Kennedy Kaunda. He's the CEO of the Tour Guides and Drivers Association. Right next to him is Kushian Mushiri. He's the CEO, Federation of Public Transport Sector. Right next to me, Engineer Edward Kinyua. He's the Director, Petroleum and Gas at EPRA. Before the break, we were talking about how the meeting went with the stakeholders. Cornelius.
Yes. So I was present up to the meeting on, when was that? The one we took 5 hours. That is the day before yesterday. That should have been Monday. I was present for that meeting. I wasn't present for yesterday's meeting.
Okay.
My two colleagues here were present.
Okay. Mondays was a mess, wasn't it?
I guess they would have the time to respond to that because I wasn't present, and it's not fair for me to comment.
Okay, Kennedy, you were there, obviously.
Yes.
And then you stood behind the CS at the press conference, and you heard the CS waxing lyrical saying a deal had been struck.
No, perhaps, first of all, discussing the one for Friday, it actually went Monday. That meeting went very well.
But,
as far as I'm concerned.
the outcome was terrible.
And that is one of the things that I think we must start facing the reality as Kenyans. 5 hours of discussions. Surely we must all honor our part of the discussion.
Were you discussing lowering prices?
Yes.
And the CS agreed? Or the stakeholders agreed?
So the first part was the offer that was placed on the table.
What was the offer?
The 10 bob. So somewhere between 8 and 10 shillings.
Kennedy.
That was struck.
All right, Kennedy, you at the meeting.
The first meeting and the second meeting.
Yes.
The second meeting, nilikuja kama nimechelewa.
Oh.
They actually called me to take a boda wherever I was very fast. By the time I arrived, walikuwa wanafanya final resolution, final remarks.
So you missed it?
I missed it.
The first meeting, wali discuss nini?
So maybe, Jeff, I've been present in all these meetings from the inception. Maybe I can give a chronology of events.
Okay.
So let's start Friday. After we got the news of the the fuel price hike, and we were shocked. Obviously, this is the highest hike we've ever had in Kenya, and as the Federation of Public Transport Sector, we quickly assembled and discussed the fuel hike. And one of the things we did, obviously, was to try to reach out to government so that we can get an explanation, which did not bear fruit. But I would like to be very categorical in saying this, Jeff. This is the first time in all the years that I've been the CEO of the Federation, and since I joined the association, that would be in 2018, that we've had a Minister of Transport who doesn't meet the transport stakeholders. We've been there with the ministers of transport during the Uhuru regime. We've had the CS Murkomen, who was with us at any given point and would call us, and he was even ahead of us in some of the issues. We would even ask him if he's part of the Matatu PSV industry. So I would be telling the truth if I said if we had a minister of transport who was in constant engagement with the industry, we would not be here. We are here because we did not have a minister whom we can talk and engage and who would have sorted this issue before it spiraled out of control. So I think on part of government, the Minister of Transport failed us in that bit. So when we sat and tried to reach other people because we are not able to reach our Minister for Transport, and we've tried. Actually, one day we even had to corner him at an event at KICC as leaders. And he gave us his PA to organize a meeting. And when the PA just vanished on us.
Oh, talking about CS Davis Chirchir.
Yeah, that is Davis Chirchir.
He's been accused of having what?
Actually, we were shocked when we saw him addressing the strike for the JKIA. Because we thought the guy doesn't deal with anybody in transport.
And you think
that's how bad
you think it's a stumbling block? You think this is an issue?
I'm telling you, if Murkomen was still the CS for transport, this strike would not have happened. Because Murkomen knew all the leaders, not Kushan as the CEO of the federation, but every leader in our sector. He would call us when there was something, and quickly we would assemble and it would be sorted out.
So you're saying this man has a hands-off approach?
I'm telling you, it's difficult. We have so many things that are pending, things that have been approved, things that we've gone for, that when we were dealing with the CS Murkomen were passed, but now they're just hanging there and we have no way of reaching our minister so that they're implemented. And as an industry, we are seriously suffering.
Yeah.
So now, with that, having that in mind, when we went and sat and we knew we could not rely on our minister, we started approaching other leaders in government to help us sort a transport issue.
Yeah. Engineer, hold on. Engineer, were you at the meetings?
Yes, Jeff.
Who else was represented?
I did participate in the meeting on Monday, and I have to say that the chair of that meeting was actually our CS for Roads and Transport, Mr. Davis Chirchir.
He was there?
He was there. And then we had actually 3 CSs in that meeting. We had CS Roads and Transport, we had CS Energy and Petroleum, and we had CS National Treasury and Economic Planning. And this was also a follow-up meeting to another meeting they had on Sunday night. They actually left very late on Saturday night trying to look at ways of dealing with the crisis.
So Mbadi was there?
Yes, sir.
Wandai was there?
Yes.
And Chirchir was there?
They were there.
And other stakeholders?
Yeah, and ourselves, we were there.
Yeah.
We had NTSA was there. We had Kenya Roads Board was there. So it was a whole inter-ministerial government approach because when we are in such a scenario, I think it's good to listen to our stakeholders. I think government has shown goodwill because this crisis just came abruptly in the last 2 months. And of course, nobody would have precedented that prices would have gone to where they are.
Yeah, who chaired the meeting?
It was chaired by CS Roads and Transport.
And how come it looked like Dennis Itumbi had taken hold of the whole time? Was he running the show?
Jeff, that's why I was coming. So when we couldn't reach our minister, and obviously we knew he wouldn't be reachable anyway, we tried to reach out to Dennis Itumbi, and that's where he came in, lastly. And when we reached out to him, he told us, give me around, when he was, okay, we first had a meeting at 2 on Sunday when nobody was reaching out to us. When we had the meeting, the leaders decided that now that the government is non-responsive and we issued a strike notice on Friday, then on Monday, let's just wake up, put all our vehicles, all the commercial vehicles, 500,000 on them, on the roads. Let's occupy the roads. And it was upon that I received a call from Dennis Itumbi. And we were just praying about to leave. When I received the call, obviously I excused myself, got out and talked to him. And he told me, I understand what's happening, and I've talked to the CS Davis Chirchir. He's on his way. I've talked to Opio Wandai. I've talked to CS Bandi. And they are on their way. So can we meet at around 6 at the Trascom? And I was like, okay, just give me a minute, because we have already ended the meeting and people are about to leave. So I go back to the meeting. We have over 60 heads there, heads of the associations, plus heads of Nairobi circles represented. And I tell them, okay, I know this was the decision, but government has finally reached out through the special programs, Mr. Dennis Itumbi, head of the special programs and digital, and digital economy or something. And he's asking us not to disperse, because I told him we are dispersing, but meet all the people that we want to meet and have a discussion. And I can tell you I had a difficult time because by then people were like, hey, they have not called us on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now Sunday at 6 they want to see us. They want to lock us up because tomorrow is a strike.
Yeah.
And when it became impossible, I called him and told him it's impossible. And Dennis Itumbi really pleaded and said, now that we've reached out, just know that we will solve whatever issue we have. But put your guy, just convince your people not to block the roads. Now I wondered how he knew we were going to block the roads. Because we've just finished the meeting.
Obviously someone in there told him.
Someone, so I was even asking, are we having investors that are from NSIS or what? So just plead with them not to block the roads because we have heard your cry and we want to sort it. If you can't come, then come tomorrow, but let the people that want to use the road use the roads. And we had to spend another 1 hour trying to convince our members here, the three of us here, trying to convince our members, please, let's just leave the roads open. Let's go listen now that government has seen how serious we are. And that's how we arrived at all the vehicles stay at home. And I called Dennis and told him, okay, we've had you. We will not block the roads. We will come. Give us the time and place.
Cornelius, do you agree with this?
Okay, I really didn't talk to Itumbi, he did. But my point is, Jeff, I don't want us to lose the logic of this thing. At the end of the day, we're here. And we have the man of the day here who was supposed to tell us what really happened.
You see, Jeff wants to know the chronology.
Yeah.
Now we just finished Friday.
Yeah.
Now we are coming to Monday,
Yes.
which I'm the one that was there.
Yes.
So on Monday,
Hold on, Kusha.
we go to the meeting. We find treasure.
Oh, the strike was on.
Yeah, the strike is on, but we've kept the vehicles at home, as requested by Tumbi on behalf of Opio and I, Bandi and Chirchir, because they refused to see him on Sunday. So when the strike started, we observed how it was going, and it was 99% successful. And at that point, we were called to Transcom, and we all went there, and we even carried not only the association leaders, but also the other associations, the rigs, and we invited everyone to come for the meeting.
Yeah.
And that's when the 5-hour discussion started. And when we started, they started by offering us. They started by taking us through a trading program of how the fuel is imported through our engineer.
Kaunda, you were there.
Came later.
The meeting.
I came later.
No, the Monday meeting.
Yes.
The Monday meeting, I came late.
He came late. That's why I'm giving you how it went, the meeting. So he took us through. He took us through how fuel is imported, what government takes at what level and for what. And then after that, now they told us the only thing we are able to get for now is 8 shillings. We deliberated about the 8 shillings for another more than 1 hour. And then they retreated a second time, and now they came with the offer of 10, which they told us now it's take it, or just give us 2-3 days to come and agree on this. So when that decision or the debate of the 10 shillings became too hot, we moved now to the arbitration. And on the arbitration, we were not going to negotiate on that. Because this is a thing we've gone through, I think 2020, where our vehicles, which were Euro 3 by then, were having serious injector problems and nozzle problems. And I remember the government then, where the president now was the deputy president, agreed to level the price of kerosene, which is actually jet fuel. With,
Okay, what was the conclusion of the meeting?
We agreed that they will hike the price of kerosene to match the diesel. Although that did not happen. I reiterate that only that 8 shillings.
Yeah. So why did the CS turn around and say you had struck a deal?
Now that's what we wondered. You see, now we told him.
Yeah. First of all, I don't want us to concentrate too much on what occurred because
we have to have a chronology to see what happened in order to move forward.
Yes,
we need to know.
That's the point. Monday, we could not agree after 5 hours. And that's why I was saying, with all due respect, that isn't what we agreed. And that we agreed that a presser will be done at the end of the meeting upon what we had agreed. Actually, the whole point is we've been there for far too long.
Yeah.
And actually, with all fairness to this CEO, when the minister came in, he said he has had to ask him to leave in readiness to gazette what we have agreed. And,
but you had not agreed.
That's the point. Hold on. We had not agreed on anything. We had agreed on one thing, that we postponed the meeting to Wednesday, which would have been today morning at 10 o'clock. Of course, there was another meeting that was held at the Ministry of Interior, which is still okay. I mean, it's part of solving the problem. It doesn't matter where the solution comes from.
Yeah.
My point is this, Jeff. We did not agree on the 10 bob. You cannot bear witness, even though he left early, and I'm sure each of us are here. But that was a gesture from government to the stakeholders who are present in the meeting. What we agreed, and what we all know, is we agreed to meet again. Because the minister at some point said, please remember, we don't have to agree tonight. I mean, everybody's tired. We did this, and I remember him talking about the Michuki time. And he said people worked for 2 months before a solution could be found. Now, Jeff, we're here today because that problem still persists. It's not gone away, and we cannot wish it away.
Correct.
And I am happy that we are here with a man from EPRA.
Yeah.
Now, my point is this. How long will we escape or run away from this problem? If you look at what happened during the, well, I don't know what the best terminology would be. Is it a strike? Is it a go slow? Or is it simply a decision of our members to withdraw their own service? As far as we are concerned, we are saying we cannot afford the pump price. Period. End of story.
Okay.
I'm a businessman. I must make money at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
I don't do charity. My members don't do charity. The Matatu owners don't do charity. And the thing is, we are arguing about the pump price. The commuters can't afford it. As a matter of fact, if you really look at what is going on, the commuters are walking home. In fact, we were joking at another station, and I was saying, you know, now everybody is going to use this idea that they're just trying to cut weight, you know, they're just trying to stay healthy. They're buying new shoes and walking home. But in truth, the real problem is they don't have the luxury of adjusting their commuter price.
Yeah.
The Matatu owners don't have the luxury of adjusting the commuter price. The dealers don't have the luxury of adjusting their prices for their customers. And one of the things that we must agree is that this whole conversation, whether at the Ministry of Transport or at the Ministry of Interior or as they are promised at the highest office, isn't about negotiating a price. If we continue talking about whether we are able to bring the price or not, whether the Strait of Hormuz is a problem, whether the war is a problem or not, we lose a point. The fact of the matter is the Kenyan cannot afford the luxury of paying a higher pump price.
Absolutely.
My point is,
go on.
The man seated with us here should carry the solution and tell us, okay, I mean, this is my landing cost. This is your pump price. In between, we have A, B, C, D. At the end of the day, we are interested in a pump price that is affordable because we can no longer transfer that price to our customers.
Absolutely. Okay, let me get to Kennedy. You were late for the meeting.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then, Ulukwabi?
I was in my office.
You didn't know there was a meeting going on?
No.
So how did you show up then? Who told you?
I was called.
By whom?
I think Ken is the one who called.
Huh? Itumbi?
No.
We have a coordinator.
We had a coordinator.
He called you?
He called you and told me to rush very fast wherever I was.
Okay.
And I had to take a border.
And you found them finalizing everything?
Yes, doing the final remarks.
Did you think that CS would say what he did, that you had reached a deal?
No.
You did? So what made you do what you did?
By
saying, you know, we...
All due respect.
Yes.
Because something was not coming out clear. Yeah, remember, we had agreed. We had not reached an agreement. So we agreed that let's face the media and give a statement of postponing the meeting to either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
And the CS Churchill said they were not going to be there. I think that is what they said.
There are other commitments, basically.
The other commitment.
Yeah, and you announced the strike was still on, I remember.
Yes, I did.
Right.
Yes.
So Tuesday comes about and strike continues, and then there's another meeting, right?
Correct.
And you came out smiling.
I am smiling.
No, you weren't smiling on
Jeff,
Monday.
I'm a tour guide. I carry clients, I carry tourists. That is one of my hospitality.
But engineer said your body language betrayed you.
Wow. Today, Jeff, I was walking in the street.
Yeah.
Kenyan are crying. So many motorists stopped me. And the thing is, wapi ile brown envelope?
Wapile Basha.
Wapi ile basha? In fact, I was almost running away from the street. Wacha nikuambie. If you go to social media, wanatuuliza bahasha. Yeah, if you, I went to observe if people to surely wanapanda magari.
Okay.
Magari zilikuwa empty.
Okay,
yeah,
just
are not able to afford.
Between the five of us.
Ndio.
Ulipewa kitu?
Sikupatiwa kitu. Hiyo envelope hata naitafuta ako hapa. Hata nataka.
Na hiyo smile ilitoka wapi?
Mimi ni mtu wa kusmile na kucheka.
Ukiniangalia
Jeff, nakwambia. Mimi ndio sababu niko na hiyo boldness. Nilimwambia Chilchi mwenyewe, sio Wandai. Kwangu mimi Wandai niliona kama isa aspana.
Jeff.
Ngoja. So what was discussed in that Tuesday meeting that made you smile so much?
Well, what touched me on Tuesday, it is the discussion which they had already concluded. Because kwa hiyo room kuna watu wana own matatu, Jeff. Sio sisi. I'm from tourism sector. Nimekuja ndani kwa sababu we are gearing towards high season. Watalii wanaenda kukuja. In fact, for the last 2 days, magari zetu hazikuwa tunaenda. Watalii walipostpone strike. I'm a concerned fellow. Na mimi kama tour guide, matua operator wengi waliweka cost kitambo. 6 months last year ndio walifanya costing yao watalii. Yeah. Kwa hivyo unga yangu itamwagika.
Nakujua, lakini let's face it.
Nilipofika pale kuna watu pale wako na matatu 50, wako na 100, wako na 20. Mimi sina matatu bwana. Mimi ni tour guide. Na wao ndio wanaweza weka decision. Kama wao walikubali na nikaona, mimi nikaangalia ile goodwill ya siku 7 ya kufanya mazungumzo. Yeah? Na hiyo ndio ilifanya mimi nitoke nje na nikasema wacha niongee na wananchi wa Kenya kuwa tumepatiwa siku 7 ya kufanya mazungumzo, na ndani ya hiyo wakajikomiti na nini, shilingi 10 itateremka. Na ndani ya hiyo nilifika wakiuliza ni nani atakuwa garanta wao. Sakaja akasema yeye ndiye atafanya nini, atakuwa garanta. Sababu gani? Yale mahitaji ambayo tulikuwa nahitaji kuwa mafuta yashuke chini come Tuesday. Manake mazungumzo yaliyopita pale ndio tukatae, hatuna mazungumzo. Tulikuwa tumewaambia basi kama mwezi 46 tunaweza pata 30 ama 35.
Okay, let's face it.
Sababu hiyo siku nikakuja tangazo yenye nilitoa na ilikuwa mapendekezo yangu.
Ukicheka vizuri, ukismile sana.
Nikicheka vizuri, nikismile kulingana hiyo kazi ndio naipenda kufanya kazi. Mimi nikifanya kazi huwa nafurahi.
But let's face it, you went from hero to zero.
Bado nataka niambie wananchi, hakuna bahasha yoyote imetembea. Kama ilitembea kwa Ebra, ikaja kwa wale wengine watangulizi, kwa sababu sisi ni wengi. Kwa ile wale watu uliona pale, stakeholder wenye magari ndio hao wanaweza sema. Mimi nilikuja pale kwa sababu ya mwananchi wa kawaida.
Nikikupatia Biblia saa hii uwekelee mkono.
Naibeba Jeff, nakwambia.
Utaibeba useme huku peo
kabisa. Mimi ni msabato Bwana na Mkristo. Na nasimama kidede nikiwa na sauti moja. Wakenya nawaambia na wajensi wote tafadhali. Mimi kwa ile siku 7 tunaingoja and come Tuesday. Na niseme kama baba Tuesday. Tutatoa tangazo.
Engineer, yes. You've heard all this.
Yes, I have heard it.
You've heard all this. There's a lot of anger.
Very clearly.
And there's a lot of mistrust. What do you tell these people?
Jeff, I think first is to thank this gentleman, because I think I was in that room for that negotiation that took almost 5 hours. And it was not an easy task because they had their position, government had their position. But Jeff, I think we also need to appreciate having 3 CSs sit in a room to listen to all these issues for 3 hours. It shows a lot of goodwill. And I can confirm to you, Jeff, they were not acting alone. They were also consulting elsewhere, including other CSs and including the leadership, to find a solution to the crisis. I think 10 shillings was something because you could as well as have gone out of the meeting with 0. But I think government showed goodwill and told you, we've heard your plea and we can reduce. This is the match we can move for today, even as we look for other solutions. So that, to me, I think I have to thank you because they play a very critical role in the economy, because the last 2 days when they were on a go-slow, we saw a lot of paralysis. And of course, the economy lost quite a huge chunk of money. I think what we've left now is space for dialogue, because the fiscals, balancing the fiscals is a wider conversation that we have to have with a wider number of stakeholders. Jeff, remember, there are people who are also importing these petroleum products. I'll give you a good example. Because of what has happened, and we've seen the increase of 118%, an increase of 126%, especially for jet, which also brings kerosene. We bring it commingled as one product. Jet, whatever you want to dedicate as kerosene, you get it out of jet. And then diesel. One is because this crisis came at the wrong time. Traditionally, towards the end of, towards December, going up to March, that is the winter season in the West. So normally, these products, diesel and kerosene, they are used as heating oils. So the demand normally goes up during that season. So you'll find the price will normally be on an upward trend. And then when this crisis happened, it was in the depth of winter. So it compounded it. And that's why you've seen the price of diesel has more than skyrocketed than that of petrol. The reverse happens when summer comes, because during summer, people drive more in the West. So you'll tend to find that the demand for super petrol in the West is high. And that now creates a demand-supply imbalance, which causes the price of super to go up. Of course, as I said, that goodwill that government has shown is to ensure that we balance all stakeholders. There are people who are importing a cargo of diesel, for example. A whole cargo before this crisis happened was $74 million. Because of the crisis, that price has doubled. It's now $154 million.
That's landing fees.
That is what you'll pay as the FOB plus now the additional cost to make it a landing cost.
Speaking of which, are there too many taxes and levies slapped on consumers at the end of the day? Road levy, this levy, that levy, this VAT, this, that, the other.
You know, CEO is not telling us why fuel is expensive in Kenya.
No,
you are taking us through.
No, I was coming to that. I was coming to that.
Can we narrow it down?
I was coming to that. When your working capital moves from 74 million to 154 and you're the importer, it means you'll also have to borrow more, isn't it? Your margin has not been increased. It means you're also raiding from your margin. So as much as we have other sectors of the economy which are suffering, we have to balance. And I think the negotiation, because that's what we are discussing, centered on the components of the price, the landed cost, the issue of storage and distribution charges, the issues of supply margins, and the issues of taxes and levies. And this whole discussion, because the 3 CSs were looking at, in terms of policy and in terms of practicability, what headroom do we have to reduce some of these components? And I think that's why when the discussion was ending, they said the much we can give now without drowning other things in the economy is this much. And I think I appreciate, because, well, you said we didn't have a deal that time, but the next day after another meeting, you agreed to allow further dialogue. And I think that's what we are continuing with. To see, it's very important, because if we try to save one side, we might drown the other side. So it is a tough balancing act to make sure that the person bringing the product also has a breathing space. The person using that product also has a breathing space. Otherwise, if we don't balance the two, then we will have the supplier being choked and will not have product.
Okay, forgive me for being a little naive here, but help me understand this. VAT was raised from 8 to 16%. Yes?
Yes.
Finance Bill 2023.
Yeah.
Okay. Road maintenance levy from 18 shillings to 25 shillings.
Correct.
And everything is being passed on to the consumer. Everything.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
So, Jeff, in terms of taxation, it's a policy and legislative matter. And it all stomachs from the budget that we make, depending on the priorities that we have as a country. And that's why we are saying we have many needs. We have many competing needs as a country. We have the health sector, we have the education sector, we have the agricultural sector, and all these things must be balanced. So when a budget is done, government will normally look at the revenue sources. One of the gentlemen who was in the meeting was trying to compare ourselves with countries like Angola, saying that the fuel price in Angola was much lower than what we have.
No,
but
they produce oil, don't they?
You see, Angola is an oil producer. They are producing 2 million barrels a day. So even if we try to compare ourselves, we are trying to ask ourselves, then they have oil revenue. What about ourselves? So that balance between budget and expenditure, and these are things that go before the floor of the House and public participation is done. Once they are coined on pen and paper, then we have now to ask, how do we balance them without basically drowning these sectors?
I want to take another break, but when we come back, Kushin Mushid, I want to ask you, Matatu Owners Association have said, have increased prices by 50%. 50%.
Yes.
I mean, come on, man. Again, the consumer is the biggest loser. Are you going to lower the prices? Are you going to go back to normal prices?
If the price goes down by Monday, why not?
Okay, let's talk about that. Keep tweeting, folks. This is an interesting conversation. Are we going to lower those fuel prices or not? 10 shillings? Come on. And you say Kennedy Kaunda didn't get any money? Come on. Ulikula, bro. Ulikula. Aye.
Jeff, ningeweka hii meno yangu bwana, ningeweka gold hapa. Hata simu mpya ningekuwa nayo bwana. Ungenipata leo.
At Koinangi Jeff, I said in the hashtag. It's JK Live. So like takes a break, we'll be back in a moment. Labda ni M-Pesa walikutumia. Hebu angalia.
Ready to showcase your football talent? The wait is over. Safaricom Chapa Dimba is back. Bigger, bolder, and better. Safaricom is on the hunt for the next big footballing sensation. Register your team. Visit chapadimba.safaricom.co.ke and you too can be the next football star. Cheza kama wewe.
Gani tena hii?
Hebu kwanza tuhakikishe insurance yako ni halali. Wewe unachukua tu karatasi unabandika Unajua hii sasa ni police case wewe. Shuka.
Ashike simu.
The customer you're trying to reach is not available.
Don't find yourself in such situations. Verify your insurance sticker before you drive. Dial *352# or download Bima Yangu app to verify. Usibahatishe. Thibitisha pap.
Deals kibao kila wiki na Carrefour. Enjoy Guru Special Basmati Rice 5 kg at 1,099 shillings. Club Soda Assorted 2 liters at 124 shillings. Ranton's Washer 10 kg at 25,795 shillings. And Ranton's Fridge 196 liters at 41,995 shillings. Deals kibao kila wiki na Carrefour.
Hapa Shabiki.com, lugha ni big wins na kuomoka. Hit multipliers za juu on Aviatrix, JetX, Hydroplane au Comet Crush na ucelebrate big wins faster. Upgrade game yako. Download app ya Shabiki on Play Store na utawale hizo skies ukikamata mamili in seconds. Gaming is addictive. Play responsibly. Not for persons under the age of 18. Shabiki.com is authorized and regulated by PCLB license number PGA 0001082.
Every single Friday, Kigonga 10 p.m.
10 over 10 every Friday, 10 p.m. 10 over 10, spiced by Captain Morgan Gold.
Hold up, Tulia! Did he just dip that wing into his captain in cola? Sheesh, love it. However you spice on.
Let's talk asset finance. From manufacturing equipment to transporting goods and machinery powering your harvest, every business needs to move forward. We get it. Scan this QR code or visit an ABSA branch to speak to a business relationship manager.
From 11th June to 19th July, everything can wait. The FIFA World Cup 2026. Get DSTV access for as little as 1,450 Kenya shillings today.
Katia Robert na mimi unafaa kukasirikianaje? He chose to prioritize his wedding over finding his daughter.
Mzae, ni noma. Ugali na slap.
Dola ni vibe. Kitu shwari.
A lot of messages from folks all over the place, folks. My good friend Jackson Ole Sapit says he just fueled his car in the Masai Mara, 154 shillings.
Where is he getting the fuel?
154. Simuli shukisha 10 shillings.
Yeah. No, it can't be.
But
we only took down 10 shillings
from diesel.
Yeah. So that
who amenunua diesel at 154?
Where is he getting it?
Masai Mara.
And where has maybe that's the thing. We need to report that matter.
He needs to tell us where he's got from.
He needs to say where he got.
What will you do about it?
Yeah, okay, I think I have an idea.
You have an idea?
He could be getting it across the border.
No, he's in the Narok.
Yeah, but it's illegal. I think the law is very clear.
Sorry, 254.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, 254.
Then that makes sense.
I think the law is very clear. Once a price cap has been set, you can't sell beyond it. And he has evidence of where he bought it. We'll just sanction the owner of the station. Yeah, we've done it before.
This is why I'm telling you, let's discuss the gist of this matter. This whether he got an envelope or he didn't get, is a sideshow. At the end of the day, the price on the pump is still unaffordable. That is, we must keep the eye on the ball.
So let's ask these people, are they going to lower fuel prices?
That is the question.
Price at the pump.
And as you said it when we started the meeting, you said the time is ticking.
Yes.
He's telling you Tuesday, we are back on the road. So now the question is, between the time they met with the CS for Interior and the CS for Energy and Petroleum on Monday, which I was not present.
And Treasury.
He wasn't present. I'm talking about the meeting which was held okay, for many of us, we were waiting for the meeting on Wednesday. But it is okay. Me, I don't really care where the solution comes from. Whether it comes from heaven or hell or wherever it is, so long as at the end of the day, this pump price is affordable for all Kenyans. Remember what I said, Jeff? And this meeting started very well. In fact, I really like how the Monday meeting had gone. And I like the spirit. And this man has a very good demeanor. He was quiet. He was sitting across me on the table. And I thought actually he was going to say something spectacular, but he kept quiet the entire time. And I guess, of course, you are a regulator. You're only waiting for the people who make the policy decision to either agree to it or not. In fact, we shouldn't crucify him much, because at the end of the day,
not much.
It is not for him to really decide what the price is. The question at hand is beyond him, and I will explain. The people in the room, CS Mbadi, and by the way, considering that he had spoken earlier before the meeting, I am not surprised that he left before. And I guess also it's a negotiation tactic. You don't keep all your cards on the table, so at least you have a reason to say, let's take a break and let's discuss. But my point is, you see, the commuter, the driller, the matatu owner, the tour guy, we are not interested in having so many discussions as to how they are going to solve the crisis with regard to what they are going to remove or add or delete or multiply or discuss with the guys at the Strait of Hormuz. Our point here is there is no headroom for the commuter, the local mwananchi, the matatu owner, the driller, the tourist guy. We don't have any headroom to accept any further price.
And if prices are not decreased within the next 6 days, what are you going to do?
Let me tell you. Please remember, Jeff, even as we speak, there are still many people who haven't brought their vehicles out or their machinery and equipment out to do anything. That's why I'm saying this discussion is taking, not here, even in the country, it's taking a turn that is missing the point. In fact, in that meeting, there's one person who has been lost, the commuter, and they had representation from an association. And they are saying we don't agree with the suspension of the strike. Because at the end of the day, he will be forced to walk home.
They would have preferred the strike to go on.
Of course, everybody, even the motorists.
They are saying that.
Today, the other associations saying we do not agree with what went on. Now, I must speak for the rig owners myself. We don't have what in quote the monopoly of violence like the matatu industry. And the reason why the attention is on the matatu is because when they withdraw their vehicles, the country comes to a standstill. Okay, and you see all these associations, PTS, AMTO, Matatu Owners Association, with perhaps the bulk of the vehicles. When they withdraw their vehicles from the road, the country comes to a standstill. Nobody is talking about the truckers. In fact, let me tell you the greatest irony. Nobody is talking about the fact that in these meetings, the people who carry fuel who load fuel from the storage to the petrol station are also striking. And he's saying, I am carrying a product that I can't afford.
Kennedy, ongelesha mwananchi bana tafadhali, because there's so much jargon being discussed here. Kizungu mingi.
Ndio kabisa. After all said and done, we are waiting for the 7 days.
Now it's 6 now. Na kesho itakuwa 5.
We had a goodwill, Bwana CEO. That was the goodwill which we gave out to wananchi after 7 days. Whether the brown envelope was given to who or me or anybody else, but I have not seen the envelope. So what we are asking, we want the fuel down. The commuters are suffering. I was in the street. Even when you look at the vehicles, they are empty. They are going to town, coming out of town empty. People cannot afford. The commuters are crying. We are affected. We cannot afford another strike. We are gearing towards high season. Tourists are coming. The moment our matatus, the way we want to brand them, because this is a transport sector issue, where all of us are included. We are suffering. There will be no movement. So the 7-day dialogue, that was our goodwill. And we want you from where you sit. If you are not speaking for someone else, the way you have said, you are speaking for yourself.
Before engineer replies, Kushan Mushiri, real quick, you guys have hiked your prices 50%.
Yes.
If your ultimatum is not met by Tuesday, what happens?
We are back to the roads. We are back to the parking. We'll be back to the parking.
Just like that?
Now, what I can say is this, Jeff. You see, when government finally reached out to us and gave us the 10 shilling, you know, as a leader, you look at both. You don't necessarily do things just to be seen as harsh and strong and what. It's not about emotions. So sometimes you have to use input a level of wisdom in how you deal with matters.
Yeah, but wisdom is not hiking fees by 50%.
Yeah,
that's not wisdom.
On the fares, you see, I'm saying the fares had to go up by 50% because when people went and fueled their vehicles, some were left paying for the vehicles from their pocket, and you cannot sustain a business by injecting more money to it, yet the business itself is not giving us much in returns. So it was either the vehicles stay at home or you hike the fares. And even after hiking the fares, it became more difficult to operate because many people chose to stay at home. Yeah. Many people chose to walk. Yeah, and so you have high fares and low turnout of passengers, which means you're still making nothing.
But Kenyans simply cannot afford that price.
Exactly. And that is the reason we said that we will put a 50% in the meantime, and then on Monday, we will go to the streets to demand for action. And when we did that, and the government came and we agreed, and they gave us the 10 shillings, then we couldn't agree, then we went and sat again. The government came and told us, guys, we have a country. And if we continue this way, we are going to lose the country trying to protect the fuel prices. So they told us, tumempatia shilingi 10. Take the 10 shillings, and then just give us 7 days so that we check where and what mechanism we can use to see how further down we can push, can lower the price.
Do you trust them?
And that's where Sakaja comes in, because he's the only governor that has been in Nairobi that has never had a strike. All the other governors who used to strike almost now and again, but during Sakaja's tenure, you've never seen a matatu strike because he's very hands-on and always consulting with us on anything that he's doing around the county. So we've developed that level of trust because of the numerous meetings and engagements. You call him, he'll pick up and utamwambia kuna shida pale na pale. So when he comes at the guarantor, we feel safe and we know it's for real because everything he promised, he almost delivers to the matatu industry.
So you have no faith in the CS's Badi, Wandai, and...
You see, we don't deal with Wandai anywhere. We don't deal with Badi anywhere. And Chirchir is never there for us. So they had to bring somebody whom we can trust, and that was Sakaja.
Engineer.
And now, let me finish. So now, when the government pleaded with us to give them that time, we just looked at it, and I would like to tell Kenyans that not every strategic retreat is betrayal. Sometimes, as leaders, you have to make decisions that are unpopular, but in the long run, they bring something. So we have 10 shillings, here to make a konfuko. And I would like you to note that on Monday, they gave us on Monday 10 shillings. They gazetted it. But on Tuesday, it was not there.
What do you mean?
So it was, the pumps were still at 242. So when we are in that meeting, we asked them, why did you gazette? Why did you do all this? And the pumps are still reading. And they said, you mulikata. So we were discussing at a level of mulikata. We gazetted, but we have not implemented. And they had to call him to tell him now, call Vivo, call who in our presence. Engineer, and make sure those prices are...
Engineer, do you agree with that?
Well, Jeff, after the meeting and the press conference, of course, we went into the mechanics of implementing whatever.
He's saying the 10 shillings. He wants an answer, the 10 shillings.
I'd been offered to, I'm coming there. So basically, we did a press release late in the night. And unfortunately, not everybody was able to see that press release until the following morning. So some of the players were not aware that we had issued another price advisory that night. And
that's national
of
news.
course, of course, what happened, it was late in the night. It was almost 12 o'clock in the night. So what happened?
The question we should start asking is,
so what happened?
Things at night.
At night.
No.
Okay.
But I think in all fairness,
hold on.
I think in all fairness,
yes.
you said the meeting lasted 5 hours, isn't it?
Correct. Yes.
And then you did a press on the night. You know, by the adjusting that formula is not an easy thing. It's not that something we do at the click of a button and things come. So we have to do it very carefully so that we don't cause issues. So we gazetted almost at 12 o'clock midnight. And some of the players, honestly, some of them, when we called them the next morning, they said, we did not see, we were not aware, because they slept and maybe they woke up the next day. Only at 7 o'clock is when you get the advice. And when we got that information, it's true, we called everybody and we sent our surveillance team outside. And clearly, all the players were cooperative. They said the law is the law. If the prices have come down, we have adjusted the prices across the country. So I think, Jeff, to me, let me say we are in a season. It's not a very good season. And all of us have to work together, because this country belongs to you and me. We may be the ones who are stewards in government today, and tomorrow you may be on the side of government. So we have to work together as stakeholders. As a fact, our law requires us to protect all stakeholders: the investor who is investing in a matatu, the investor who is investing in oil, stakeholders like government, and even consumers. So those are the things we have to balance. The beauty of the oil business, it's a boom and bust cycle. So this will not last forever.
So Jeff, just to complete, you see, I was interrupted. So when that happened and they changed the fuel prices, you see now the goodwill comes in from the part of the government, where they have given us something and they have promised us there will be further reduction.
Yes.
Now, when you look what is happening around the country, you see, that's why I said we still have a country to protect. Because our strike was a peaceful strike. We wanted vehicles off the road until the negotiations is done. But now, we start realizing that people are burning people's vehicles, people we don't know. They were arrested around 300, 400 people. And almost all of those arrested, not drivers, not conductors, not owners of vehicles.
And don't forget, some people died.
Yeah, and some people died. And have you heard of a driver or a conductor that died? None. So when these things started spiraling, we tried to call our chairmen across the counties and asking them, guys, what's happening? And they tell us, we don't even know who these people that are demonstrating are. Now, at that point, we sat and asked ourselves, have we been infiltrated? So we realized...
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say...
Your strike was hijacked, or what?
That's what I'm trying to say. Our strike is peaceful. Vehicles are at home. We've told our drivers and conductors, just stay at home until this mess is...
And who are those people burning tires and burning vehicles?
People that are burning tires, we try to ask chairmen from the various counties. We ask them, have you organized any people to demonstrate in your areas? None. Then supermarkets are being looted. A school wall has been pulled down. People have walked in, come out with books, laptops, and all these things. So we sat and asked ourselves, is this what our strike entails? Is this who are these people?
But you know,
and when we could not get an answer on who these people that are terrorizing other people are, and we have a deal of 10 shillings with room for further negotiation, we decided that, just like Saitoti said, the country is bigger than an individual. So,
but there are times like those, there are people who obviously take advantage of the situation.
But this time, they were taking advantage and being baptized matatu people.
Yeah, okay.
And they were not matatu.
Sour, Cornelius.
But we realized...
hold on.
Finish. Let me finish. We realized that there is overwhelming public outrage because of the fuel.
There is, of course, that's obvious.
Which we also have.
Okay, yeah, but you've hiked your prices 50%.
Yeah,
I mean,
but it's
very selfish.
It's still not making
sense. It's selfish.
Because the vehicles cannot run.
Okay, Cornelius.
So the thing is, I mean, it's first of all very regrettable that in this country, every time there is a strike or any form of demonstration, people die. It's regrettable, whether it's either, people who take advantage or the police or whoever it is. It's a very regrettable thing. And even for the people who lost their lives in this strike or property, I mean, it's one thing that we all must offer our apologies, even though it's not us who caused it. But Jeff, going back to the subject matter, this issue of fuel is not new to the country. Even in Uhuru's time, we had a similar problem. And there was a lot of talk about what is causing it, war. And I remember, politicians exchange sides quite often. And in fact, election is coming next year. By August, there will be a lot of exchange of sides. I mean, Mbadi, Wandai were on the other side. They were speaking about this same matter differently. Murkomen and others were in the last regime, and they were speaking different about this matter. And that's why I'm saying it doesn't matter where the solution comes from. The fact is we must get a solution. And that's why I'm saying this discussion about fuel must go back to what it is doing. It is hurting the entire economy. And which is why I am saying to our brother here, who is a regulator, my sympathies, or I sympathize with him to a great extent, because the issue we are discussing here is what is really causing the price of fuel to go up, and what is the impact and implication of a high price, especially on diesel. It will slow the economy, and you have seen it. The government lost a lot of taxation, either levies for the counties or actual corporate taxes, or VAT for that matter, and levies that they would have collected in those 2 days. And I'm sure he has the numbers of how much of the diesel or petrol would have been sold. If you look at those numbers, I would have imagined that the government would actually think about what they are losing when the business people are not in business. Because remember, the primary source of income for any government is taxes. The problem here is that government is looking for the easiest way to tax. So they keep loading taxes on the products that people must buy. And fuel is one of them. I keep using this example of the bread. It kept becoming so expensive, either by cost of input or taxation, and it got to a point where there was no more elasticity. The bread started shrinking from 800 grams to 600 grams. Same bread, different size, same price. Mandazi in the village used to be longer. When they couldn't push the price higher, they reduced the mandazi. This is what government is trying to discuss. Unfortunately, in the matatu industry, you can't shrink your truck. You can't shrink the distance. You can't tell your customer, you walk half the distance, I'll pick you up along the way. In the drilling industry, I can't drill half a well. We still got to do the full job. And that's why I'm saying, let's not lose the gist of this matter. The gist of the matter is that the Kenyan cannot afford any other price adjustment, whether by way of taxation or by way of levies or by way of market forces. So when that happens, the government must behave like a father and start asking themselves, my child can no longer afford to carry the weight. Do I walk in? Do I come in? And I want to say this. If indeed what he's saying is to be taken as the cause of this problem, then we are in extraordinary times.
No doubt about it. And you mentioned solutions. And real quick, before we go to feedback, we have plenty of feedback. G2G, government-to-government deal, it was hailed as the game changer. In the Middle East, government-to-government is exactly that, G2G. Here, it's in the hands of private entities. Come on, man. We're not idiots here. Someone's making a killing from this.
Thank you, Jeff. So G2G came about in 2023, April, and it was as a result of what we had gone through in 2022 when this new administration was taking over. We had dollar scarcity, and products were paid in dollars because under the old regime of the open tender system, the letters of credit were issued for 30 days from the bill of lading date. So you had like 5 days or 5 to 10 days before you could look for dollars, pay back the importer, and then the importer is able to liquidate the LC. Of course, that put a lot of pressure. And here we are talking about $500 million in a single month. And that time is when all dollars had been moved from the frontier markets back to the US. So the exchange rate went wild. It moved from 120 shillings to almost 166. And then looking for dollars became a problem. You could bring a cargo at the port of Mombasa. It sits there for between 14 and 21 days. Some even were staying even for 30 days. That has a problem in itself because that is demurrage. And also that causes a security of supply challenge. You find that this product in Mombasa, but marketers are not able to lift it up. So that is when government went out and asked themselves, if we extended the LC period from 30 to maybe 180 days, and then we can be able to unwind these LCs in 6 months instead of 1 month, we can give ourselves room so that these dollars, because the import bill for petroleum was about 30% of the total country's import bill. Meaning if we lack these dollars, the health sector would suffer. We're importing machinery, we're importing food even sometimes, and we're importing all this ICT stuff and all that. So the thing was we delayed the liquidation of this LC for 6 months instead of 1 month so that we could give a breathing space to the economy. And of course that worked magic because with the implementation of G2G first, in terms of product supply, everybody was able to lift product because now we dominated our payment into shillings. But of course, we have a mechanism of converting that shilling from the 90th day to the 175th day before the 180th day, where the LC matures into dollars. And that gave us a breathing space.
Has it worked or has it not worked?
Worked very well. Today, we've delivered over 230 cargos. We've never defaulted on a single LC. Our exchange rate has now stabilized at 129, 130. We have enough product in the market. Today, if we look at, and the other most important thing that G2G did, we fixed the premium and freight, which was a floating figure under the old regime. Today, petrol, the G2G rate is $84 a ton. If you look at the spot market, it is at 284, 3 times. So that is what would be exposed to if we're in the open market. In fact, I got a text this evening. I was told there's a premium of $400 in the making. You can imagine, 84, 400. And these are realities. You can check with the suppliers.
So why keep increasing fuel prices, one would ask?
The fuel price is dependent largely on the FOB cost. FOB cost is a floating figure internationally. I've given the numbers clearly. We've moved, like for diesel, which is what Chepsoi uses here, it has moved from $637 a ton to $1393. That's 118% increase. That translates directly to the pump.
All right, we have a lot of feedback, gentlemen. Stand by. Tweets coming in thick and fast. Where were you?
Plenty. And Mako says, ask Matatu and the EPRA guy, the engineer, on a Kenya shillings 10 diesel reduction while paraffin prices went up. My question is, who represented low-income Kenyans who rely on paraffin daily? Why is relief always negotiated for businesses, but the poor are left to absorb the pain?
Engineer.
Indeed, there was a very lengthy discussion around the mechanics of having the price differential between diesel and kerosene reduced because there was a genuine concern. These guys are buying very expensive machinery. Those vehicles are very expensive and most of them are on loans. So if you mix kerosene and diesel, well, you may not be able to see. Although currently, I'm doing a biocode program where I put a biocode in kerosene. You can't see it. When you mix it with diesel, I come and test in the station, I will know. I have equipment that can detect that. But of course, there was also the discussion, who uses kerosene? Currently, the consumption of kerosene is about 5 million liters a month, and we know part of it is being used by gas turbines in Muhoroni, about 1.8 million liters. So the question that we had in that meeting was how high can we, how close can we close this gap? And I think there was wisdom first in government maintaining kerosene law because of the consideration for the low income. But then, of course, when a concern has come from other stakeholders, then we have to strike a balance. And that's why now we move to a level which it was high, but not too high.
Yeah, but the poor are always the ones who suffer the most, aren't they?
Yes, Jeff, next.
Sir Pablo Y says, Jeff, yesterday was shocked that Kenyan president has a message for Arsenal, but not for the fuel crisis. People have died, not even a sign of word from the state. One day.
Alvin says, why is no one talking about petrol prices? You forget that online taxis and borders heavily rely on petrol. This should be a conversation about petroleum products, not just diesel. All right?
True, okay.
Yes, Jeff.
Products, yeah. He says, ask engineer, why do they have to change all these 9 levies per litre rather than adopting it per gallon or barrel? Excise, VAT, adulteration, petroleum development, railway levy, petroleum levies. So many levies, engineer. So many. Are they all necessary?
Yeah, the levies and taxes are fixed through legislation. Some are fixed numbers. Some are ad valorem. They are percentages. And they serve different functions, like the excise duty, the road maintenance levy. Like the road maintenance levy, is for maintenance of our roads.
Which maintenance of our roads?
We are constructing new road projects, and we are also maintaining the existing roads. So that's the reason. So we have initially we used to have like toll charges on the roads, isn't it? Then we decided to convert those toll charges into one ballpark figure, which would go to the per litre cost of fuel. So, and I think this is what we're also discussing with somebody earlier today, that you may find countries who have lower fuel costs. It looks superficially low, but those guys are also paying road toll charges. So as we have loaded it on the fuel, then they are doing it opposite.
Darius A says, why can't we get fuel from Nigeria, as in the Dangote refinery, which I suppose will be way cheaper if the Hormuz is one that is expensive?
Yeah, you see, African refining capacity has been low. We think that Dangote has come now around. He has a refinery in Nigeria which is doing 650,000 barrels. It's not a small refinery by any chance. And he has disrupted markets in Northern Europe and in America. So we'll also start getting fuel from there. And I know Dangote has also promised to come to East Africa and put up a refinery. If he puts a refinery of another 650,000 barrels here, we have a refining capacity of over 1.2 million barrels. That's equivalent to what we have under Reliance, which is in India, Jamnagar. So once that capacity has been upped, then the first point of service of that product will be Africa, definitely.
It took him 10 years to build that refinery. It's going to take us another, 10, 15 years?
No, he's, I heard the announcement. He's looking very hard to come this side.
Viv says, ask them what happens if the Strait of Hormuz remains closed and we get to massive supply deficit. Will we get the 300 shillings mark, and how soon?
Talking about 300 shilling what? A barrel? A litre?
Yeah.
A litre.
A litre.
Yeah. Next is, this was a comment. Yes, Jeff, you can proceed.
Ashik says, with all due respect, why force out and arrest senior energy officials for allegedly procuring substandard fuel and still go ahead to temporarily lower the same fuel quality standards for purchase?
Okay. Aroni says, those Matatu guys took Kenyans for a ride. They ended a strike for an important cause without a return to work formula. When I saw the due respect guy smiling gibberishly the following day for being, quote unquote, treated well, I knew we are cooked.
Kennedy Kaunda. Sammy Dumbo says, it is alleged that Matatu sector leaders were each given 500,000 shillings in a deal facilitated by Governor Sakaja, and flight tickets have also been booked for them to travel to Mombasa for a meeting with President William Ruto. How true is this? Kushian, Mulipata?
Sometimes it's unfortunate that some things have to be said, but I can tell you, Jeff, all the leaders in the matatu sector don't own 1, 2, 3 vehicles. They own more than 10 buses and above, all 33 and 51 seaters. And those buses do make around 10,000 per day. So if you give me 500,000, that's barely 2-3 days income. So, and we do many other things. So we are not the kind of hungry people that would take 500,000 and then lose out on the entire month. Actually, it's insulting. And I think every time you are doing something that will benefit the mwananchi, as I was saying before, people got into our strike and took over our strike. And I believe those people that did that are trying to blackmail us so that we continue with a strike when they have ulterior motives. And because why would a peaceful strike that is gaining results be infiltrated by people that are only concentrating on destroying properties and businesses? I'm telling you, it's more of political. And those are the people that are pushing us, oh, you have an envelope, you have this. It has nothing to do with that.
Kennedy, ulipata tikiti? Unaenda Mombasa?
Sijaiona popote.
As much as hajaona tikiti, let me just look. Which camera, Jeff? Which one?
We'll have time to do.
No,
we'll have time.
That one. I hope there is a ticket to Mombasa. Your Excellency, it's you we want to meet so that these prices can go down. If there is a ticket, air ticket, please send it to me directly, and or even we are willing. We have money. We can pay tickets and join you in Mombasa.
What makes you think
that we discuss with you and you drop the price?
What makes you think that meeting the president will lower fuel prices? You think he controls the switch?
Because when we were in the meeting, we were told
we are managing a crisis.
We are managing a crisis, and this is the much we can get. And you know, the boss is not around, and ABCD. Now the boss is around. Yeah. So if we can talk to the president and the fuel price goes down, why not?
Why Mombasa?
Why not?
Why Mombasa?
If he's in Mombasa, or live around Mombasa, had we been told to fly to Azerbaijan and see the president and the fuel prices will go down, I'm telling you right now, I would be in Azerbaijan.
Oh, muna hiyo pesa ya kwenda Azerbaijan.
As long as the fuel prices go down.
Chepsoi, talk to me.
For our people.
Boja, watch a Chepsoi onge.
I still repeat, let us keep the eye on the ball. I just want to bring one thing to you, Jeff. Remember, this is an alliance of very many industries.
Correct.
I come from industry. We have our unique problems and our unique understanding of this problem. He comes from transport sector. Yes, their unique problem and the understanding of the problem. They come from the matatu sector. They understand their problem. Now, Jeff, I hold a different view. I am a man who believes in numbers. And I like the way he likes to put the numbers there and once in a while try to hoodwink us a bit, which is as expected.
I
don't expect him to... I mean, you've got to give credit to the man. He's really doing his job and trying to give government position. But there's something we're losing. I said, for us, it does not really matter what that formula says at this point. It's extraordinary time. I understand that formula. I've seen the formula. I understand everything he's talking about, prices doubling in the market. But if he keeps hammering that point, then I want to ask him, who's going to pay him VAT when all the vehicles are parked, when all the equipments are parked, when all the people can't come to work? Where is he going to collect that so-called VAT? And remember, Jeff, I told you, it's not unique to this government. See, this is why you've noticed there's not been a politician in this thing, because we have resisted the urge to have a common position with the politician. We are business people. We look at only one thing, numbers. And the numbers are saying it does not make sense.
Okay. The math is not mathing.
The math is not mathing.
Let's keep going.
Moses says, Jeff, please ask, how is the negotiations so far? Are we expecting a white smoke or a walking nation in 6 days' time? Ama nijipange kutembea in the land of Natembea next week. Okay, this is being responded to. We move to the next, Jeff.
Moses Kimnetich, okay. Onion Gam says, let Mr. Kinyu explain to us in a layman's language how the Strait of Hormuz is affecting us, yet we are not importing through it. All we know is that the closure of the strait affects fuel going to Asia and other markets. Although 20% of the world's fuel...
Simple answer, we're importing through the Strait of Hormuz.
We are.
Jebel Ali port is one of the biggest loading ports, and also Ruwais. Ruwais refinery was hit during this crisis. And then, of course, outside the Strait of Hormuz, where there was a blockade by the US, where they were throwing things with Iranians, we have Fujairah, and we also have Oman. We load from there. So nobody should tell you that we are not using Strait of Hormuz. It's one of our biggest loading points.
And 20% of the world's exports.
Exactly.
Originate from the Strait.
Exactly.
Travel down the Strait of Hormuz.
J.Y. Dara says the landing cost of petrol, according to EPRA, was 117 bob. How then does this translate to 214?
Taxes.
This indicates an 82.9% tax and levies, clearly showing a deliberate action by the government to overtax the citizens. I think there was a response.
We discussed that. I mean, it is taxes.
Yeah, it's not all taxes. We have supply margins and we have storage and distribution charges.
Supply margin is
17 shillings.
But basically, the formula, and actually in terms of transparency, we give the entire breakdown. So he can be able to get, in our press release, the breakdown is there.
What she's saying, or he is saying, is that that is high still.
Abdikadir.
Yes, please, Jeff.
You know, even the hangman, the guy who hangs people, the hangman, is very transparent. They hang you in public. It's very transparent.
No, he wears a hood over his head.
No, the guy wears a hood, but the hanging is public. So there's no secret about it.
They hang you for a reason.
Yes, and I'm saying...
Who's being hung here?
We are getting hanged as business people. So the more you say...
And you're also hanging the consumers.
No, we are not. In fact, let me tell you, and I've tried to put this point through. Remember, we've become a conduit for everybody else's business. When he says there's an importer, there's something that he's not telling you. The tax is ring-fenced. VAT is ring-fenced for government. The levies, EPRA has a levy there, which is ring-fenced. The road levy, ring-fenced. The profit or the oil marketers' figure is ring-fenced. The businessman is the only person who has got to do his mechanics and be able to remain with something. So listen, when we buy that product, we have become a conduit for everybody else's business, including government, who has a ring-fenced amount in the formula. In fact, Jeff, we should be asking, he said it when he started, this formula has been here for 16 years, correct? Mm. Why? We should even be asking the question, isn't this girl a little bit too old now? Can't we start thinking about whether this formula is working for us? Yeah. Can we also talk about this question? You know, you said something very nice. We're going to be importing from Dangote. We're going to be importing from other sources. Now, the question is this still G2G? How did we move away from OTS to G2G? I don't dispute all these issues about dollars and whatnot. But sometimes Kenyans must also be careful and learn the mechanics of government. There's something called Messiah habit. You raise the thing very high, and then when there is a lot of noise, you just bring it down a bit. And that's how prices never come down.
Yes, Jeff.
All right, let's move on. Go on.
Sylvia Wanjero from Gashia says, Jeff, commuters need to have their association also to protect them from greedy matatu associations. With the association, we can ask members to stay at home and not board matatus in case of fare increase. You know, we are at their mercy. If the government fails to lower the fuel price, all those officials seated with you, they have a fallback. They will just hike the fares. What about the commuter?
Always the loser.
Yeah.
Always. King David says, Jeff, please ask Engineer Kinyo, why can't they buy fuel from Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan? It's cheaper from the refinery. True?
Yeah.
False?
Yeah, but we must also be true to the fact that the specifications of this fuel, especially coming from Eastern Europe, especially for diesel, our flash point is usually much higher. Like for diesel, our flash point is 60 degrees. Then if you get fuel from Eastern Europe, it's usually at 55 degrees. So the specs may not match one-to-one.
What does flash point mean?
Flash point, this is at the temperature at which there's natural ignition of that fuel. So it's about 60 degrees for diesel, although we import a higher spec of about 66 because of we are operating a common user pipeline. So if you import from Eastern Europe, you'll find their flash point is much lower. It's about 55 degrees. So even if we are looking for diversifying our import routes, we have then to think about how does that marry with our spec.
Okay.
Right, next.
Dr. John Rao says, question for the CEO of the Federation of Transport Associations. The idea is not just talking to be seen that you are protecting the consumers. You need to give reasons why you think the prices of petroleum products should not go up. Okay, and we move on to next.
Jethro M says, what was the purpose of your strike? People were killed, businesses looted, vehicles torched, livelihoods destroyed. Then you call off the strike without achieving anything? You owe Kenyans an explanation and an apology because you are liable for what happened. If you cannot stand up for what you believe in, then stop disturbing and confusing Kenyans.
Okay.
Jethro
Limo says, engineer, if you entered into contract under G2G, a certain price per barrel, for a specified time, why are the prices of these petroleum products changing locally every month? Should the variation be minimal based on the dollar variations? Why burden Kenyans? Okay, this is
I think I can answer that.
Yeah, briefly.
G2G, what was locked was freight and premium. The barrel cost or the cost of the product internationally, which is international best practice, it's left floating. It happened in the OTS. Even under the open tender system, companies were only tendering for that freight and premium. The rest is left floating.
It's always a hidden cost somewhere, isn't there? Mwalimu F. Warire says, it is a wonder that now it's the profit matatu owners who are in the forefront in defending the helpless Kenyans, not the legislators or the government. Ni matatu ndio mwokozi sasa.
Moses says, Jeff, please ask the director, EPRA, Engineer Edward, why should the country rely on fuel imports and yet tuko na mafuta Turkana? Ama ni ya kujipaka tu?
So
yes, briefly.
We've not even started producing that oil, and even if we start producing it, in terms of the quantity of production, we are looking at 20,000 barrels in a single day. Of course, that quantity does not support us to economically put up a refinery, which basically would be what we are using now to get the refined products. So we are looking at doing more exploration and appraisal so that we can increase the quantum of that production, maybe at that point. And we also pray that Mr. Dangote comes to our region, comes to our country, and puts up a refinery.
Didn't Talo pack up and leave?
Yeah, but we have Gulf Energy. Talo sold over to Gulf Energy. They're the ones who are doing the production.
And who owns Gulf Energy?
Gulf Energy, you have the CL12. You know who are the owners. And it's a private company we've been licensing for the last 20 years. They have been doing mid and downstream, actually. They've been importers. And then they have transitioned now to the upstream sector.
Who owns Gulf Energy?
The directors are there in the CL12.
Ras Bashir Rory says, ask Kushian why matatu fares increase every time fuel prices rise, but passenger salaries do not increase. Why are commuters sometimes forced to pay extra charges even during short distances whenever fuel prices slightly increase?
We address this. Still continues, says, can EPRA guarantee Kenyans that there is no corruption or manipulation in the fuel pricing process? What accountability measures exist for officials and companies found exploiting Kenyans through artificial fuel shortages or inflated prices? It's also addressed.
Yeah, so many questions.
Next up,
Thomas says, ask the EPRA CEO why he says landed cost of diesel is 167 shillings, yet Aramco website says price for May is 1.79 dirhams, which comes to about 80 shillings.
I need to verify the source of that information, because as we do our benchmark on S&P Global, which we call Platts, and everybody can check the movement of the price on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, check the Aramco website.
Limo Bernard says, engineer, if you enter, I think this is
the GTG.
This is repeated, so we can move on. Next is, was that the last, Monica?
Oh, that was the last one. Okay, I know there's many more.
There's another one here.
Oh, there's one more.
Mukhtar Khalif says from Wajir County, Kenyans must know that though they have right to demonstrate against fuel prices, it is the duty of all Kenyans to ensure they don't loot businesses. It is equally the duty of the opposition to tell their supporters that this country belongs to both the opposition and those supporting the government.
Okay, yes. Finally, Derek Ngao says, understanding now Kenya isn't something to joke around. People used to read between the lines and kept quiet, but nowadays we read and comment about it. Kama mbaya. Huyo mtu with all due respect, aache kutubeba ufala. That's true. Gentlemen, it's past midnight, which means the clock is ticking.
Jeff,
5 more days. Ngoja. Tulia, umeambiwa usitubeba ujinga. We're going to have some final thoughts going forth, okay? Starting with you, with all due respect. Go. Final thoughts.
Thank you so much. With all due respect, there is a goodwill that we were given, and that is what made us to suspend the strike. Come Monday, Tuesday, we'll see what will come out and we'll put on the statement. So I want to request our Kenyan citizens, from the commuters, our brothers and sisters, let us hold on. Of course, we have a country, we have a nation. Let's stick to the goodwill. 7 days are elapsing, we'll come out with a solution. Thank you very much.
All right, Cornelius Chipsoy, final thoughts.
My final thought is that as a country, every crisis offers an opportunity to actually come up with something better. And this fuel price crisis is an opportunity for the country to look at many other things. This is something beyond the price of fuel. It's actually an economic problem. The fact that people can no longer afford to take a hit on another price increase should actually tell the government something and use this opportunity to actually ask itself questions. My final thought on actually what could be done to lower this price is the admittance by government that a huge portion of the fuel price is taxes, levies, and government income, in whatever name you call it. We cannot blame the war in Iran. We cannot heap the entire blame. This is something that we all can see, but it doesn't mean that they can't flex their muscle. They've reduced VAT before. They can suspend the remaining part of VAT, the 8%, and wait until this situation is better. There is nothing urgent. We don't have to build all those roads and have all the people die just because we want to build a road. We can do without it for the time being, but I'm not saying. I mean, it's not in my place to tell government how to adjust its income, but we are saying to government, Kenyans cannot afford another price increase.
Cornelius, Kushian Ushiri.
Yes. I would like to state that calling off the strike does not is not tantamount to abandoning our people or stopping to fight for our rights. So as leaders, we are just we thought it wise to give dialogue a chance so that we can be able to get a solution to what is the fuel prices so that they can go down. So I would urge Kenyans to be patient with us, and we are sure that we will deliver. And for the president and his team, the ministers involved, we are still waiting for you to call us I know we've been bashed because it is said that we are looking for an appointment with you, and it's true. We are waiting for government to contact us so that we can have a final discussion. So regardless of where you are, if you are in Mombasa, as they say, we are waiting, and we will avail ourselves so that we can conclude this discussion. We don't need to wait up to Monday or Tuesday. The earlier, the better. We are available, and we will show up.
Yeah, Engineer, you get the last word.
Yeah, I think what I would like to assure Kenyans is that we are aware of the difficulties that people are going through because of the increase in fuel prices, and we understand the critical role that fuel plays in our economy in terms of mobility of goods and the people, whether it's on sea, on land, or in the air. And what we would like to assure Kenyans is that the government is doing all it can to ensure that regardless of what is happening out there because of the geopolitics, we will strive to work to ensure that everybody is kept afloat. And of course, the other thing I need to assure Kenyans is that our pricing formula is transparent, it's auditable, there's no hidden card. But of course, we'll continue talking with all stakeholders to see what is practical so that we can be able to relieve that pain. Thank you.
All right, Engineer Edward Kinyua, Kushin Moshiri, Kennedy Kaunda, and Cornelius Chepsoi. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. I mean,
with all due respect.
Great, with all due respect, yeah, indeed. If it's any consolation, in America, they're paying close to 600 shillings a litre. Not that we can compare ourselves with them, but 600 shillings a litre. Yeah. It's $4 a gallon. There's 4 liters in a gallon. Do the math.
Yep.
No talking. I'm done. Thanks so much for the discussion, folks. We always have to keep talking. I always say this because the moment we stop talking, it's the moment we start fighting. And we don't want to go down that slippery route. Like all the gentlemen here says, we only have one Kenya. If we destroy this one, there's no turning back. 5 more days. Tick-tock. Tick-tock. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. Remember, if it's Wednesday, it's all about those 3 letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JKL. If you don't believe me, look at your keyboard. What do you say, Ayub?
4 days. It's past midnight.
765.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes past midnight.
It was 6 days yesterday.
Yeah,
5 days, 5 days now. But maybe where you are is 4 days.
Yeah, 4 days.
In Wajir.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being a part of the show. Good night. Good luck. God bless Kenya.